NN.
The following program does not necessarily reflect the opinions of the staff, management, ownership of the station. Jay and Janine are expressing their own opinions, and such is not a substitute for psychological or mental health advice. If you are experiencing an emergency, please hang up and call 911.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Momentum Mindset Show, where we're talking everything personal development, coaching, health, and the law. I'm your host, Jay, here with co-host Janine.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Please join us on Facebook, where we can be found at the Momentum Mindset Show. And if you want to call in and be part of the show, we would love to hear from you. It's 888-565-1470. And if being on live radio is not your thing, no problem. Send us your comments and we will interact with you on Facebook.
Let's create some momentum.
Good afternoon, South Florida, and welcome to the Momentum Mindset Show. I'm your host, Jay Farrow.
And I am your co-host, Janine Davis. Welcome, everybody. It is Friday.
Friday afternoon, and welcome. We have a fantastic show for you today, a bunch of topics of the things that are coming up in our lives, and we're just going to talk about, from where we're at, entrepreneurs, people that are living the tenets of personal development, and having a lot of fun doing it lately, I should say.
Absolutely, yeah. I want to acknowledge that there has been a shift energetically, and there's a lot more fun going on in our lives.
Lots more fun.
Again,
because I can see.
Well, amen, amen. So yes, as you may or may not recall, Jay had LASIK surgery last week, and he can see clearly now. And because of his new eyesight, I'm younger, I'm thinner. All kinds of different things have improved.
You're a very attractive woman.
Thank you, my friend. And I do want to say that we've been more lighthearted, kind of pushing through things. We still have tons of challenges at work, still have, time and money conversations. Those things never seem to go away. But also being very intentional about knowing that we're on our way and embracing that and choosing to stay committed to that, focused, and absolutely, I don't know.
What did you do?
In the joy of it too, because there's so much joy of it.
Okay, so we have a great show for you today. Okay, because we got some really, really big news. Do we not?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
We do.
We have some big news because we're going to be announcing our second show that we're going to be hosting. And actually, this one's going to be on Amazon TV, Roku.
And Roku.
And Facebook Live, as well as to be on the radio. Am I correct on that?
I'm not sure. We have to get our producers will correct us because I'm sure we're wrong somewhere, somehow. And that's okay.
Whatever it is. But it's going to start Monday night, this coming Monday night. It's going to be called
6 p.m.
At 6 p.m. It's going to be called The Verdict.
Ching, ching. Oh, wait. It's probably proprietary.
We can't.
Never mind. Whoops. Thank God you're an attorney. We're going to make our own
We're not doing
music.
that.
Okay.
But The Verdict is going to be it's going to be like ESPN plus law plus cops plus unsolved mysteries. It's going to be.
It sounds like a boy fantasy.
It's going to have a bunch of energy, and the Verdict TV show is going to highlight action-packed cases. We're starting in South Florida. We're going to follow the David versus Goliath stories in the law. Yeah. And we're going to talk about litigation and the way that disputes are resolved and how to enroll people into a different conversation on trying to get things done with urgency in the law. It's actually revolutionary.
It really is. So you may be thinking to yourself, okay, that sounds cool, and how does this apply to me? Well, we're going to tell you a little bit how it applies to you. As a layperson, y'all know that I am not an attorney. And how I think it relates to the general public is this. We all have issues in our lives with confrontation. The law and lawsuits develop because lay people, are in a confrontation. So it has everything to do with you. It has everything to do with the fact that you may or may not be able to deal with things head on. You may or may not have people who are in your life who are responsive to different things. So you really need to get you get an opportunity. You don't really need to get anything, pardon me, but you get an opportunity to kind of get a ringside seat to the action of what happens. And our hope for everyone who watches is that they can take away certain nuggets for themselves about maybe something that's going on in their life and how they can get through it, learn different aspects of the law, which are really fascinating,
And
how everybody works together, and really how to resolve conflict in a way that is revolutionary.
It's revolutionary, and we got some fantastic guests to start off the show.
Yes.
I'm not gonna
We're not gonna spoil it for
spoil
you.
the surprise. However,
Tune in.
However, we are going to be planning on having some ex federal agents that we
Right.
work with, and
We're really
expert
into the
witnesses.
ex-federal agents. If you have not noticed.
they know how to do some cool stuff.
They really do. We talked to a guy this week who can do crazy things with the computer.
I mean, this guy was like
It was
a
kind of
former
fun.
Secret Service, and it was
Yeah.
just fun to be around him and to learn what you can do with a computer. Again, I'm afraid. I mean, I don't want to touch. He was telling me that you could like take the computer knows the second like a USB was plugged in when it's taken off. The time between
Yeah.
keystrokes and anyway, the whole purpose of us telling you about this show and also announcing that we are looking for office space in Manhattan. As a matter of fact, as I'm sitting here, I'm looking at a picture of Times Square.
That's true.
And what's crazy about it is that the office size that we're going to probably get is about the size of this studio,
which is really not that big. It's cozy.
It's cozy.
It's really rather cozy.
And this might be the view that I get right outside of the window.
You know what? It could
Yeah.
be. It absolutely could
So
be.
we're talking about momentum, really. What we're talking about
Right.
is that the people that follow the show, you'll just know that what we went through for 3 and 4 months at the beginning of this year was extremely challenging, and we shared about it on the air, and now we're sharing about the wins as we see and look forward to look at the future. Especially with this, we have the show opening up this office in New York.
Right.
And it's not ironic in any way, shape, or form that it would be called J Suites if we actually end up working with you. Isn't that? I just want to take just a moment to reflect
Oh,
on that.
Jay, it is your world, and we merely live here.
Thank you.
But thank you for allowing us to reside in Jay's world.
I thought it was funny.
It is pretty funny.
But just to see the momentum that we create, and what I've noticed is, what I started to get a little bit away from was the smallest things during those number of months. And the smallest things was making my bed. The smallest things was reading those 4 to 6 pages of right now I'm reading a book from Chris Voss. The former
Such an
chief
amazing
negotiator
book, people.
for an FBI
If you
hostage
can get
negotiator.
your hands on it, it is so good. It's called Never Split the Difference.
How to negotiate like your life depends on it.
Yeah. It is
Fascinating
an
book,
amazing,
revolutionary.
amazing book. Yeah.
Any business that you're in, or any time that you're looking for a job, or any time you're negotiating a salary,
Yeah.
or negotiating a salary, or negotiating a contract
in
for anything,
relationship.
even in relationship. I mean, this gives.
Yeah.
I mean, the real life scenarios of negotiating with hostages and how it applies to businesses, how
Yeah.
it applies to relationships for employer-employee relationships, and potentially
Yeah.
any other relationship in your
Oh,
life.
absolutely. Even I can see the value in a romantic
But I had gotten
relationship.
away from reading things like this on a daily basis,
Right.
and a little bit away from not just posting on Facebook like I've been doing every night, but there was a couple of weeks that I was a little bit off. But we were coaching the transformational program, and a week before that I was a little bit sick, but I had gotten away from authenticity.
Okay.
I had started pounding my chest a little bit, not just a little bit, a lot of it. And what I was doing was I was hiding. I was hiding in some of the successes, some of what it sounds like. In other words, one of our cases that we recently filed was going after $6 million or $10 million, whatever it was. The thing is that I started to hide in the bravado of that, and what I really wasn't starting to talk about was my heart connection to some of the other things that I've been up to, and I want to get into that today.
Yeah.
About
We'll discuss it.
we're going to discuss that about
Yeah.
some things that are coming up for me as I'm now opening myself up to relationship. Because in this show, I mean, we're talking about where we're at. We like to think about creating momentum in all the domains in our lives, and all the domains. I want to explain that a little bit. You have the domain of relationship. You have the domain of family. You have the domain of finance. You have the domain of hobbies. You
Right.
have your domain of career.
Yes.
Your domain of spirituality.
Yes.
Okay, so all of these domains require momentum. You can ignore some of these, and the issue with that is it's like solving a Rubik's Cube and only solving one side. So I can convince myself that I'm doing all right in X, Y, and Z domains. But if I'm not working on like relationship, there's a part of me that's not working on me.
Say more about that.
Well,
What are you speaking of specifically? Because relationship encompasses a lot of things. It's friends, it's family, it's
I'm talking specifically-
romantic
I'm talking-
relationship, it's work relationship. It's a lot of things.
I was specifically talking about romantic relationship because of all of the domains in my life over the last year plus, because I'm at day 96 of year 2 of my total life transformation.
Yeah.
And I can see how commitment, relentless commitment, generates results.
Okay.
Only if you work it, though. And if I'm not up to a certain domain in my life, and I'm not
Right.
being authentic about it, it's very easy for me to say, well, things are going well, and all these other things, I'm having so much fun. I don't need relationship. But it calls to me, just like professional satisfaction calls to me.
Sure.
I'm professionally satisfied. I love what we're doing, and not just that, but the other piece what the other win is that we're getting close to finish our momentum program that we've been working on and looking to launch that in September.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that we've been working on.
Yeah.
And great. What are we neglecting also?
Yeah.
Because I know 1,000 people that can claim to be successful, and then what about their personal life?
Right.
And then it's like another way for me to isolate.
Right.
And am I really? What am I doing? Is this another form of disconnection? And that's what I really got to take a look at this week. Is like, okay, well, if all of these things are happening, and there's another case that we're about to file, and we'll talk about that maybe on our show. But more importantly, today is really, where is my heart? Where?
Right.
I had a moment, and we're doing okay on time. I'm going to share this now. 2 days ago, because I just got my eyesight back, and I had not been back to my parents' house.
Right.
And actually, I hadn't seen my mother or father since. I mean, my mom kind of after the surgery, I saw her first. I didn't even see her, but I hadn't seen them. And I went to their house because I have a cousin who might be listening to who's visiting from Sweden, and I got to see my parents for the first time in my adult life without my glasses on, and it was like we didn't have a pane of glass between us. And I got to see how beautiful my mom is, and I got to see how beautiful my father was.
Yeah.
And my dad's sitting at the top of the table, and I just came in right after dinner, and I was able to connect with my dad, and he gave me this look a couple times, and I was able to see him, and he looked at me, and I wrote this on Facebook the other night. I called it a look from my father. I mean, it was just a look that you can't practice, you can't fake, you can't pretend, you can't even be conscious of it. But it's this. There's a Yiddish term for it. It's called nakas, but there's also this sense of pride, or son, you've arrived, or I see you as a man. I see you as a man and as a beautiful man, and acknowledge you for not only for the fact that I threw you out of the nest type thing and you're able to fly, but you got skills, and I respect how you're soaring. And actually, we'll take this on the other side of the break.
This is good stuff.
Let's take a second, and we'll be right back in just a minute.
Yeah. Stay with us.
Farrow Law Firm, standing up to corporate bullies, using innovative, aggressive, and effective strategies to resolve disputes effectively and timely. Contact us at 954-252-9818, online at farrowlawfirm.com, and on Facebook at Farrow Law Firm. We look forward to being of service to you.
You've been listening to the Momentum Mindset Show.
With Jay and Janine, give us a call at 888-565-1470. And now back to the show.
Welcome back to the Momentum Mindset Show.
Well, hello.
Hello there.
So right before our break, you were starting to share more about your interaction with your father, which I think is really
It was only a couple
wonderful.
of seconds, not even split seconds, but it was this look that my dad gave me. I call it a look from my father, and it's like you've heard that term before, like, oh, my dad gave me the look. This is a different, completely kind of look than just that look. It was
Yeah, usually when I think of the look, I think I'm going to kill you look
like
from the parents.
I brought you into this world, and I'm
gonna
going to take you out.
out.
And this is like, Jay, you look beautiful. Like, I see you as a man. I see you have arrived. I acknowledge. I see the light in you, and I reflected back in the light in him, and I saw him as this glorious, courageous, humble, loving, joyous, giddy man who's done
That's
amazing,
wonderful.
awesome job at being a father. And I got to see him, and he got to see me, and I had not seen him since I had in my adult life without wearing glasses, and it was just one of those moments that I was filled with so much gratitude, and it was so authentic. I mean, it's just one of those things, and I was in front of my Swedish cousin, so I didn't break down then, but when I was writing the post, I certainly had a lot of tears in my eyes, and I was very grateful for that opportunity.
Yeah.
And so last night when I got to writing, I started to write about, like, oh, we're about to do this, and there was and I got this coming up, and I was like, wait. I've noticed something about myself, and I don't want to talk about something. I don't want to talk about my fear of rejection, because I opened up on one paragraph the other day about how I was open to relationship in my life, and I was open to love, and that's the first time since I've been single in the last year plus that I wanted to write that. Then I had a million reasons why I didn't want to write that in the past, because I thought that the relationship was coming back in November, and et cetera, et cetera. Now it was like I think that I had convinced myself that I didn't want to touch that area in my life. In other words, so much focus had gone into professional, so much focus into
Right.
financial, health, and I didn't want to tell anybody that I was scared of opening myself up again. Not so scared of opening myself up so much as that the process of opening myself up and actually going out
Well, what
on
are
a
you talking?
date.
Okay, so what does that even look like to you? What is the process of opening yourself up?
I was going on. I was going on online dating, asking around, seeing who's there, seeing what's available, see if anybody's got a friend. I mean, actually going out on a
Yeah.
date. How about this one? I mean, telling somebody it's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna work out, because I've had an issue with being honest about how I feel in my
Yeah.
life. Period.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay.
And so the other thing is that I still have these things that come up about rejection.
Yeah.
And the rejection, I had these stories about, and I remember this one incident happened to me when I was a kid, One happened, like, first of all, when I had some things where adults rejected me in such a way that it was, like, very, very powerful, and it stung, and it was traumatic. But then there was times where there was just the girls that were my age that made fun of me, and
Yeah.
or at least I perceived that I was getting laughed at,
Uh-huh.
and that stuck with me.
Right.
And I understand that a lot of my growth was stunted for a period in my life because of disconnection. Now that I'm looking to connect, it's like, okay, well, what if they don't like me? I mean, I do think I'm an attractive guy for me, but I don't think that you think I'm attractive. I don't think that for some reason, not just you.
The
no,
universal
the
you.
the
Got it.
universal
Okay,
you.
I was like,
The
okay.
and I'm being, pretty serious about,
Mhm.
like, because I don't. There's something about there's a disconnect, because I could look every morning. I'm like, I'm so grateful to be me. I wouldn't trade me for anybody. Like, I mean, no movie star, no nothing. I'd like to be Billy Joel for a day. That I would like to do. But other than something like that, those little fantasies, I'm pretty happy being me. But the thing is those insecurities have followed me, and I can't just be me. This is why I'm sharing about it now. And as a man, there's like, I want a connected, loving, vulnerable, joyous relationship. No, I don't want it. I'm committed to creating it, and I deserve it. See what I'm saying? The distinction is
That is a big distinction. Sure.
Because I want some. No, I'm committed to creating it, and I deserve it. But inside here, that thing about rejection, and I can remember these instances, and it's not just in romantic sense, but it's rejection in general that's coming up for me. And I said to myself last night, I'm like, you know what? I'm not sharing about this, and so this is not. There's something here, and I'm going to go for it.
Okay.
And I started talking about it, about where I find some of those sharp wounds, and I'm going to feel that
Right.
that sting. So, for me, I was like, it's time to look at this right now. If I'm going
Yeah.
to generate the momentum, otherwise I'm going to get stuck there. And also,
Yeah.
it's going to be another year, and maybe not just maybe. All those other accolades are going to come around in both of our lives. I mean,
Yeah,
as far as
sure.
accomplishments are going to concern.
Yeah.
But I think the greatest thing about accomplishment, as I was looking at my dad the other night,
Yeah.
was being able to look at my mom, and at the same time that he was looking at me, and said, "We created that."
Yeah. Wow. That's powerful. That's beautiful.
So it's like, what? So what? Yes, you can have it by yourself, but how much more glorious is life is when you share it with somebody.
Absolutely. Totally agreed. And when you're sharing all of this, what comes up for me too, like Spidey sense, is kind of like, okay, so the only thing that I find interesting about what you're saying and what you're sharing, oh, wow, that's HD for you. Okay. Is what are you going to do about it? In other words, my concern for you would be that you think that a relationship is going to somehow heal that, make it go away, blah, 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 or you're going to work through it. It that has to do with you and you. In other words, you're going to bring all of that into a new relationship, whether you realize it or not, because we all do it and you're not immune to it. So I would like to challenge you on that, because your issue with rejection is your issue with rejection. And it's coming up, hold on one second.
Okay.
It's coming up as a way to kind of like tell you, hey, buddy, you're amazing and you've come really far. I'm over here. You think it's disguised in a relationship, and it could be. In other words, I'm not saying that any of these things are exclusive to each other. But what I am saying is that it gets to be handled as something that is about your relationship with yourself. Because there's nobody in your life that's going to cure it, fix it, love it away, and whatever. You can have someone in your life who shares,
So
who you
you're
can
saying-
share with and be with you in it and love you and support you through it. But the relationship itself is not going to take care of that. And I assert that it's probably coming up for you as your soul's way of saying, hey, pay attention to me and look at me. And this is something that is still in our space. Like, and don't, pay attention to that. I'm asking for healing.
Right.
And what I assert is that the healing doesn't have to be away from a relationship, not at all. It's just that I think it's dangerous to look for the relationship as a way to heal that, because it has nothing to do with another person. It has to do with your own relationship with yourself and your own past and what you need to heal and reconcile. Does that make sense?
It does. And if you want to join this conversation, by the way,
Please do.
Please do. Call
as
us
much as I love Jay and myself.
565, 888-565-1470. That's 888-565-1470. We're also on Facebook at the Momentum Mindset Show. And if you like
and would
to...
love to hear your comments.
Love to hear
and,
your comments.
We're weighing in on relationship. This is a weighty topic. And
the rejection piece, my fears are preliminary to the relationship. Once I get past the first couple of dates, or I'm okay.
Right, but you speak.
But the whole.
But you're still. But there's a depth there.
Right.
That you would be neglecting and patching over with and satiating with a relationship, but. My point to you, Jay, and to anybody, and I'm saying this to myself as well, because I have my own conversations about it, is that it shows up and it comes back around, and it will show up in the relationship. So if these are things that you're experiencing, I think it's so incredibly valuable to bring them to the forefront and realize that it's above and beyond a relationship.
I see what you're saying. I see that there's more to the underlying commitment that I'm actually, it might be even going to being seen itself.
Yeah. I mean, this is really
exposing.
Part of the thing too. Yeah.
In other words, it's not just whether or not she's going to like me or not. It's actually, I really, really, really want to share myself. Similar to I want to go dance.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, exactly. I want to dance. And
yeah.
And then when I start making my moves, people see, and it is what it is.
It is to expose yourself or to share yourself. I don't want to say expose yourself. That has a couple of connotations, but I'm saying to share yourself has risk.
But I see that progression in me, the back and forth. I want to be seen. I just want to be noticed.
Yeah.
I want to be seen. No, just
So let's
just
talk
notice
about that
me.
a little bit because I think that's really interesting and perhaps could be very supportive to our listeners. Because you did, I think we touched on this last week too, but I think it warrants a thing. The distinction between being noticed and being seen. How would you describe it as being different? Because a lot of people may not see it as different, and it is. There's a small nuance that makes a huge difference. Do you want to speak into that?
Imagine you go to a party. And you go to a party and you're dressed up, and then you walk through the party, and you mingle with a couple of guests and you leave. Okay, people noticed you. You were there. Or you go to the same party, okay, and then they put on some music, and then you kick off your dance shoes, and then you jump right onto the dance floor. Say, "Come on, everybody, let's join me up here. Let's go have a crazy party, and let's go all out." And you just start going and having the best time and dancing. Then you're seen. Because you're saying that it's okay to look at me, and I'm open to your judgment. I'm open to you really connecting with me. I'm open to you looking into my eyes, and I'm looking into your eyes, and having an intimate connection. So I think that there's a level of intimacy that's different. It's not just a level. It's 10 times the amount of intimacy being seen. Allowing yourself to be seen. In other words, sharing your gifts.
Yeah, and sharing really who you are.
I mean, going to a party and playing one song on the piano as opposed to playing a concerto. Playing Mary Had a Little Lamb versus playing something from Mozart. I mean, basically opening yourself up and saying, "This is all I got. This is me. This is all I got to give."
Right. So it's the distinction between, again, just being, being noticed and then being actually making connection. Creating intimate and creating vulnerability. And by the way, vulnerability is something so powerful and so amazing. And it also makes it so that you're more susceptible to being hurt because you're so much more open. And that's very powerful also.
Being noticed is also playing safe.
Yeah.
So your underlying commitment is safety. So when I might be saying to you that I have a fear of rejection, what I actually have is a hidden commitment to safety. Because in every single fear that you have, you actually have a hidden commitment to a survival context.
Well, that's interesting because when I was listening to how you were speaking, I one of the things that I also thought to myself is, what is safe in that story for you? And why are you so attached to it? And how is it keeping you comfortable? Because all of us have that story. I'll share something really quick, and then we got to go to a commercial. I went and had coffee with someone the other day, and part of my conversation was, I don't know that it's, chemistry's there, it may not be there, et cetera, but that was nonsense. One of the reasons I didn't want to go is because I felt like...
She had a date.
I felt inauthentic because my pictures are skinnier than I am right now. And I was like, that to me is BS. Like, I showed up as someone different than what I portrayed in a picture, or I didn't send them the picture, but that's not the point. My point is then, though, I had to challenge myself and say, what BS story am I hiding behind as I've gained weight to not connect with another human being? Because my assertion is, depending on the person and depending on the chemistry, it really has nothing to do with if you're heavier or a little thinner or whatever. Is when you have like the right energy and you show up in such a way, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. And study upon study upon study has actually shown that it doesn't matter. So anyway, it's a really interesting. So I had to challenge myself and say, okay, Janine, this little, like, you're too chubby to date is such a nonsense story to keep you safe. I had to call myself out on my own BS.
And let's talk about that on this other break. I do want to say hello to Kim, and I want to say Cheryl, Shannon, and Dan that might be listening on your car ride. We spoke earlier today and hope to meet up next week. We will be right back right after our message.
Please do. Join us.
Farrow Law Firm, standing up to corporate bullies, using innovative, aggressive, and effective strategies to resolve disputes effectively and timely. Contact us at 954-252-9818, online at farrelllawfirm.com, and on Facebook at Farrell Law Firm. We look forward to being of service to you.
You've been listening to the Momentum Mindset Show.
With Jay and Janine, give us a call at 888-565-1470. And now back to the show.
And welcome back to the
Welcome back,
Momentum
everybody.
Mindset Show on Friday afternoon, and we have gotten into an authentic, deep discussion about
Yeah.
rejection, hidden commitments, and dating.
Yes.
Ugh,
Yes.
dating.
So, well, you know what? And it's so funny. It's fun. Like, I was sharing with a girlfriend that I enjoy dating. I'm a feminine woman. I love to get my flirt on and the whole thing. It's fun. And what also has been revealed for me, though, is that, again, I have my own hidden commitments. And I'm a different person today. So I get to call myself out on them. I get to go, even though it's uncomfortable for me, even though I think the person's going to judge me or whatever, because I think I'm at a stage in my life where I feel like it's more important for me to be in integrity with who I am and to call myself out on my own BS and my commitment to growth than it is to continually be concerned about looking good for another person. And I know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that, wow, I cannot live without you type of love. I'm not just looking for someone to have a chat with every now and then. I'm very blessed with friends. I'm always open to new friendships and new experiences. Of course, I'm not saying that, but I'm talking about in a romantic context. And I want to be that to the other person too. I want the other person to experience me as like, oh wow, okay, all right, let me stay a while, and that kind of thing. So, and I'm committed to that, and I'm not going to stop until that happens, and I'm confident that it will. And in the meantime, I get to really also be open and realize, where am I selling out on myself and my nonsense? You know, you can't account for taste. Everybody's got their own. You've got your own flavor. You can't take everything personally. That's also like such a victim story that, woe is me and so-and-so didn't like me. So what? There are 7 billion other so-and-sos on this
Hey,
planet.
Pete, okay, you say that. I'm going to...
No, but
But it's
hold
not
on.
so what.
Hold on.
It's not.
Well,
It's not
no.
so what.
No, not to everybody. It's so what. But
Because to
I
me, it's a
challenge-
traumatic event. And people can say, "Oh, well, there's." To me,
Okay,
I don't
but-
see that.
Okay, and my challenge to you, Jay, is what has you so stuck in that traumatic event story? I would start there with you. Honestly, I would look at that, because that's also, and that is not taking away from the fact that you did experience something traumatic. What that tells me, though, is that you get to heal from that. You get to honor yourself from that space. And you get to do the work to have a look at that and really give yourself that, like, love and healing and time, or whatever it takes. And it could be with a partner in your life. I'm never excluding that possibility. I'm just saying that, careful, because that's also a story. That's also like my little chubby girl story. It's not that different, actually, because it all stems from fear of rejection. We all have that. So what I'm saying is, like, so what is that the so what creates, hold on, it creates an ability to act even when your fears are rising up. It's every time I don't necessarily feel like making a networking call. And my commitment, however, is to be of service to people. So I make the call, even though it's not my favorite thing to do necessarily, because the commitment is more valuable than my story.
I can see flipping the script on this is supportive to me about being
Yeah.
in service to other human beings. It doesn't take away all. Here's the thing, and I was writing about this a little bit last night. It doesn't go away. It's there,
Maybe-
and you walk through it anyway.
Right.
I mean,
that's what I'm
and
challenging.
that's what I came to. I said, look, I mean, I'm not gonna. I could say 1,000 times that there's a million people out there, and if this person doesn't like me, so what? I take it extremely personally. I mean,
But maybe that's you now. Can you accept that maybe one day you won't?
I don't know, because here's the thing. I still have to kick my own butt every single morning to get to the gym. I still have conversations
that's a
all the
whole
way
other
up to the
different story.
every single up to the treadmill every single day.
Yeah.
I have that conversation. If I actually want to turn around, not open the door, it's not for me today. Every single day, it's as tough as it was yesterday.
Okay,
It doesn't
so
get any easier.
I do want to share. That is true. Okay. All right.
For me.
Maybe for you. I got it. Actually, and by the way, I do have to out myself on something else. So we share a dear friend, Janine Foster, who is also who has her own amazing business, J9 Fit, and she has Saturday boot camps. Well, last Saturday she had the brilliant idea in June, Janine, to do an outside beach workout. Why do you do this to me? But anyway, so on the way there, I was like, wouldn't it be amazing if it rained? I swear, I was literally doing a rain dance in my car. And I went because my commitment is to do whatever it is that I can on any given day, because that's a tough one for me to get up. It's always been hard, no matter how much amazing shape I've ever been in. That's very tough for me too. And I literally, so I worked out, whatever. I was nauseated probably for the whole week because the toxins kicked up and the. So I get it, Jay. I'm just saying to you, it may get easier. It may not. Either way, it's something you get to look at to heal.
I don't see
It's a point of healing.
anything in that respect. As far as I'm not expecting it to, and I'm not asking it to. Okay, that's.
Do whatever you want.
I'm gonna do whatever I want. I'm just saying. For me, this has been a conversation ever since I was a kid. Even walking across the whole dance floor, every time I do the roller skating rink, and I knew that I needed to push myself through it. That I knew
That is
I needed
cool,
to
though.
roller skate,
Yeah, we all have our
right
things we
across
gotta-
the rink, and I'm like, will you couples skate with me? That's the same feeling that I have today.
Well, I got to give it to men. And ladies and men, I got to give you. This is why no matter whoever has approached me in my life, I think that the courage that it takes to go up to another human being and say, "Hey, baby," or whatever, or something much more polished than that, it takes a lot of guts. And I got to say, that's why I'm never rude or obnoxious to men when they come up to me and say anything, or I'm always so appreciative. And I've always been that way since I was a young girl, and it was actually appropriate for men to approach me. Because I think it takes a lot of guts, and I really appreciate that. And I think that as anybody has to give props to people who are willing to put themselves out there.
Anytime two
and
people are
to
even going
really
to get
be-
together on their first date, I acknowledge
yeah.
that.
Absolutely.
It really is. And take yourself in for a second. Anybody else who's ever had a
Yeah.
relationship, ever been out on a first date, take it in that's a big deal. Acknowledge yourself for doing that, because you're opening
Yeah.
yourself up to the possibility
Right.
of being seen.
Yeah.
Which means fear of rejection, fear of judgment,
Mm-hmm.
fear of not looking good. Because I guess underneath all of it is that I'm not good enough, or that and for men, there's a
Yeah.
competition thing going on.
Sure.
Because the competition, because we
I
look
can
at
see
other men,
that.
it's like, okay, well, this person has this car, this has this bank account, has this, has that. I mean, I do my internal checklist. I'm like, all right, I got a law degree. I got 2 law licenses. When I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking I'm doing my own inventory.
Yeah.
I mean, my brain will default to adding up these kinds of things.
Sure.
My-
But also
my-
it's safe. It's what you know.
it
It's
will-
what you've practiced for 40
it's,
years.
It's the law degree. It's this. It's that. It's playing the piano. It's singing. It's all of these things. And it's like, does this make me attractive enough? I mean, I got to, and if you want to be completely authentic, I wanted to obtain in some instances, not just some. I wanted to be the man, the Renaissance man. Like
Yeah.
that. You said a man about town the other day, and it really landed, because it was
Yeah.
like, I wanted to become.
yeah, Jake came in all.
I wanted to
man
become the
about town.
man that I know was not possible. Let me say that again. I wanted to
Please
become
do.
the man, smart, talented, all this, to become to a place where I could ask someone out and there's no possibility of them saying no. That's why my deepest overachieving purpose in my life was to become this top of the top, just vulnerable, courageous, yes, but all these other things mixed in with all of these accolades.
Jay, so-
I mean, I wanted to have the resume that no one could say no to. It was
Jay,
like, But
I don't
I'm
like- I
talking
get
about
it.
my
But, like,
fantasy. I'm
okay,
talking about what because
fair.
my
but
fear.
I don't think George Clooney is attractive. Am I the only one?
But my
Probably,
fear,
but
my fear,
he doesn't do it for
my
me.
fear of rejection and my fear of being seen, my fear of judgment, that trauma, that the reverse side of that made me as ambitious as I am today. Part of that made me as ambitious as I am today.
Okay, I can see that.
Is actually
me too, by the way.
becoming that man that the woman couldn't say no to if I asked her out, because that fear of that no
Yeah.
was like impossible. And I don't know where that happened. Because I told you everybody that my first relationship was in 6th grade, I think, roundabouts.
Yeah.
And I sent
get it.
this note back in my home period. I said, "Would you go out with me? Check yes or no." And she checked yes. And 3 hours later, she's breaking up with me, and she's with like 3 of her friends. They're looking back and they're laughing at me, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not going. This is done. I got to figure something else out."
Yeah.
So then from that moment, I started to think about, okay, what I started to check other guys out, sports, right? So I started.
So what did they have on you that maybe you didn't have, kind of thing, like
it was
competing with
sports,
them?
But more like it was the confidence to walk. It was this. What gave them the confidence to just walk up and say, "Hey, why did you say it? Yeah, hey baby."
Hey, baby.
What gave them the confidence to do that? Whereas I was like checking in with myself. Do I have all this stuff together?
Right.
So it's wrapped up. It collapses a lot of different things, and there's a lot of different hidden commitments to it.
Absolutely.
But underneath all of this stuff,
I really do. It's profound, really. I see that. There are a lot of hidden commitments.
And they say that the guys that do come up, hey baby,
Yeah.
I don't know, they have nothing to lose.
Maybe.
I don't know what
And
they're-
again,
I don't
you know
know.
what, Jay? I think that you pointed out to something. We all have different domains in our lives, right? So some people, I think, will always excel more in others than in one domain more than others. Because guess what? We're all here to learn and to grow. It's not easy for other people, for everybody in all of the domains in life. Maybe this is the domain in life that you were brought here to learn and grow the most in. I don't know. And the hey baby guy, maybe he's compensating for other things. I don't know.
I agree.
My point is that we're all here though to learn and to express, and that it's coming up for you and that you want to connect, I think is already huge.
Right.
I want to give you a kudos and a
Thank
snap
you.
for that. Secondly, I do want to say also that you said something about when you were in 6th grade and you suffered this rejection. I also want to say that we don't know how much we could possibly hurt or help someone in this life sometimes. We don't know. Those little girls didn't know the irreparable damage that they've done.
I don't blame them.
Of course
I'm
you
not-
don't.
th-
But my point
I'm
is,
just I just remember
we
it.
do things every day so, I don't know, without thinking about it, which is why when people have ever approached me, and I'm always very flattered by it, I always give them I honor them with that prop. Because not to be nice, it's not that, but really to yeah, you got that, wow, that takes some confidence, and I appreciate that in you. Even if I don't want to date you, that's cool too. So my point is, though, we get to watch sometimes how we interact with people and with children, because we don't know that slightest little thing
But then again,
could.
the universe is. I trust the universe. I trust God. I trust. I trust.
Me. It's always happening for you. For
It's
sure.
always happening for me. And on the other side of this break, we're going to continue this conversation as we've gotten into this. It's pretty interesting about the hidden commitments when you're starting to date after being single for a while.
Yeah.
We'll see you in a second.
Farrell Law Firm, standing up to corporate bullies, using innovative, aggressive, and effective strategies to resolve disputes effectively and timely. Contact us at 954-252-9818, online at farrelllawfirm.com, and on Facebook at Farrell Law Firm. We look forward to being of service to you.
You've been listening to the Momentum Mindset Show.
With Jay and Janine, give us a call at 888-565-1470. And now back to the show.
And welcome back to the Momentum
Welcome
Mindset
back,
Show.
everybody.
A really good friend wrote in over the break, or maybe before the break. Lynn, I want to thank you for this comment because this is
Yeah.
profound. It's like the no could. This is about shifting the story about no, or
Yeah.
shifting the story about
Yeah.
rejection. It might
Yeah.
just be no for now.
Yeah.
Could be just like, hey, they got things going on in their
Right.
life, and it's just information. It's neutral,
It
and
really
I can
is.
say that all day long. I don't buy it, but I mean, because
'cause you have an
my-
emotional
because
attachment
my
to it. I get it.
experience of it.
Although I do have to say, in the book that we were talking about at the top of the show, he talks a lot about our societal collective addiction to yes.
We're talking about Chris Voss.
Yeah, and his book, Never Split the Difference.
Never Split the Difference. He's a former FBI chief hostage negotiator,
Yeah.
and has written a book, Never Split the Difference, and it does talk about our addiction to yes and how no, in fact, creates safety and the beginning of a negotiation.
Right, because we all have a negative our default is a negative bias. It's our we feel safer when we can say no.
I got to a place.
It's a
as
really
we were-
fascinating
I got to a place
thing.
as we were talking as well that I hadn't been to in a while. As far in my mind is how I attempted to have all of these accolades, going for me, so that way that I had confidence. It wasn't just Jay.
Mm-hmm.
And someone suggested to me the other day that Jay, your superpower is just being yourself. How about just going out there and just like, hey, just having the conversation and not and being open to being seen for just being Jay. Take the lawyer hat off. Take the piano player hat off. Take
I
all this
agree.
off and just be yourself.
Yeah.
And that underlying
I
everything
completely
else
agree to
is the greatest gift I think that I could offer in any of these scenarios, is just to be myself.
Well, and I'm going to say, as someone who spends an enormous amount of time with you, and really, we really do spend a lot of time together because we collaborate in so many things and all kinds of stuff. I'd say that, I genuinely tell you that I love and care for you and I respect you way above and beyond. Like, I don't even think that, I know, obviously, I'm grateful you're an attorney. That's, part of what we do. But, I see you so far beyond that. Like, that's not a thing for me. And I realize, too, that that's one of my special gifts, that I really see people for who they are. I always have. And I've always had that ability to do that. But, yeah, those things don't matter to me at all. And when I've been true, and I'm just speaking for me because it's going to matter to people differently. But when I've ever been truly in love with anybody, and they've run the gamut in life, high-powered businessmen, yay, good for you. At the end of the day, I loved the human being. All of those other things were great, but they did not make or break my decision to be with them or to love them, and they certainly did not sustain anything else. It was really, it's about connection.
I will say that,
And that has nothing to do with a title, an accolade, or an achievement.
what I'm really happy about that we're going here today, because it feels like a root canal.
Yeah,
I was in
it's a little.
I've been doing this hot yoga thing consistently now for about 2.5, 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And what I recognized the other night is that I have some moves that I'm able to make, or postures,
Postures,
poses.
asanas, yeah.
Okay, that I'm really good at. And I'm looking around the room and I see people that are a lot better than me, because they can twist like a pretzel. But those people too have their poses that they can't quite make.
Yes, this is what I'm trying to tell you, Jay.
That I'm actually able to do better. Not better. I don't know better. I'm just saying the word that it seems to me that
Maybe
my
better,
stretch
more easily.
My stretch is, maybe it's easier for me to get into this particular pose than the people that have done it and they're like on their head, and there's a couple that are levitating. Like for real.
God bless.
But I'm saying that I have things that I'm naturally good at that some other people are not naturally good
Exactly.
at. This is no different. And the thing is,
Totally.
is that why they practice all of those combined is the same reason why ignoring this domain in my life is no longer something that just like I get to dance. Like my body's telling me, you got to move.
Right.
This is, all of the other things is basically a really fun way to convince yourself that you don't want to connect again. And all of the things, any domain in your life can be and ultimately
Yeah,
become
because some people are
the
really good at
disconnector.
this particular
Some other
domain in
people
their
could
life.
be like the relationship's the best thing, but then they go
Yeah.
like their family, their professional satisfaction suffers. I'm looking for a balanced existence. I want to.
Sure.
I want to use the muscles and because ultimately everything is interconnected.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
And we have this conversation about one of the personal development people that we were following for a bit, and about it seemed like health was not one of their commitments, and there was an inauthenticity to their message. There was something for me that came up that was like, wait a second, something's not quite right here.
Well, and I challenged you on that point to say that this person is showing up in their real human experience because they have it too. And just because they're a successful coach and they have whatever, doesn't mean that they're still not struggling with their own conversations. It's like saying, well, Oprah still have it. Guess what? She's freaking Oprah. And
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
But
that's
what
I'm saying.
I'm saying is there was a couple of
But wait,
comments
but
that were
to
made.
Right,
that,
but to that point, we all have something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And what I'm identifying for me is what am I pretending not to see? What am I pretending not to
Fair.
know? And this is like the most like this glaring thing in my life. And it's like, how is it? This is missing.
Yeah.
And it's not just missing. I'm ignoring it. And it's
Right.
not just ignoring it. And it's like, why am I ignoring it? Well, because this is what I don't do. I don't feel like I do well, or if when I do, I don't, feel comfortable sharing about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Well, I got to give you a lot of credit. You are a good sharer, and you've taught me to open up a lot more because I'm very open in many ways, and not on these topics, and certainly not on the radio until now.
right.
So also I don't get to hide anymore either, and
Just the
so
fact that
thank
we've
you
taken,
for that.
but the fact that we've taken the time on it, this is our show. We always talk about where we're at. If it's struggling financially, that's where it was a few months ago.
Love gets to happen.
And now it's like where I notice that there's things in my life that I get to create momentum, and the practice starts with awareness. Hey, wait a second, there's something missing. What I was about to post last night with this whole pounding my chest diatribe, and I was like, no, this is it gets to be talked about. How I feel about relationship, rejection, hidden commitments, being judged,
Yeah.
and being seen. And now with that happening at the same time, we are opening an office in New York in the next 3 to 4 weeks. And I'm looking at Times Square. I'm like,
Jay's like,
it's-
yeah, let's push it. Let's do it. What? Okay. You know what? This is awesome because the how does come later. It shows up.
It's declaration, and that our show, The Verdict. I mean,
Yeah.
what was so
You
powerful
guys,
today, and
that's gonna
we're going
be
to transition
fun.
here just a little bit
Yeah.
because we declared The Verdict, the show on the last show. I mean, we've been talking about the concept of something like this in
Yeah.
the law and
Yeah.
being able to share about David and
Sports Center. for
Sports Center
law.
and the law, David versus Goliath. And 1 week later, now this morning, we were looking at proofs for our logo. Not just our logo, but our banners that will be in the studio that are going
Yeah.
to assist us with the show. We have our first guest, if not two.
Yep.
And we started to speak about the website, theverdicttv.com, in a week's time. In less than,
Yeah,
in 8
this
days'
is
time.
momentum. This is something I really want to say.
8 days'
We're
time,
proud of us.
I've gotten at 1 o'clock on Thursday afternoon last, I had no appointment for my eyes. Janine supported me. We got an appointment with my eyes. 3:15 that day, I was getting my LASIK surgery done. The next day, we're in this studio. We declared that we were going to create a show called The Verdict. The producers were like, "Well, you guys, what?" And now we have
They're on board too. We're good.
The start of the show on Monday at 6 p.m. The
Yeah,
very
and we're
first
going to
show.
get everybody the details on how to
we
tune in.
I had my first discussions with Office Space in Times Square in New York City.
Yeah.
For Farrell Law Firm.
And I remain open to coffee and getting to know people. Why not?
And
You too.
yeah. Wow. I mean, I spoke to a Secret Service agent on one of my cases.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. Yeah. So
and
the
this
point
is
is,
just
though,
so,
guys, it's like
it's in a week's time. because we wake up, we show up, and we handle whatever comes up.
Yeah. So I was sharing with Jay one of the things when we were down and out. And again, it's not because the circumstances have changed so dramatically, but we've changed dramatically in the way we handle circumstances. We made that commitment to show up no matter what. And one of the things that was a huge factor for us is I said to Jay, you know what? Commitment and self-love is showing up when nobody's watching. And when the results are months away from you and you can't see them straight away, and still you show up and you do what you got to do.
No proof that they're ever going to be there.
Right.
Just a vision, declaration,
Exactly.
and commitment.
Exactly. And committed action, right? So all of those things are the secret.
Massive committed
Yeah.
action.
So that's the thing. And I think that's really been a huge game changer for us. And it's really the tenet of momentum.
And it's possible, again, it's doing all of those little things.
Yeah, and
when
they
I-
are little things.
And when I noticed
Consistently.
when I noticed the bed,
Right.
I said, you know what? Wait a second. That's how I start my day. That's what
Yeah.
that's what I'm telling to the universe. I'm thinking about my day, and so I started making it in excellence, and then from there, all of the things that followed, from the way that I take a shower, the way that I have breakfast every single morning, but candlelight with myself, and I honor that space and time, and think and pray, and this is how I'm starting my day, and what has shown up over closing in on 500 days of a total life transformation.
Right into us, guys. I want to know how you all start your day. I would love to know, like, morning rituals or tips or anything
Anything that would
kind
be
of like
great.
supports you for starting your day and creating
Right into the
momentum
show
in your life.
this
Please write
week.
into us.
And we just want to
Hang
thank
out on our Facebook page.
all
We'd
of our-
love to interact with you.
all of our listeners. Julie, I thank you for writing in. Ronnie, Ruby, Shannon,
Thank you, Lenny.
Kim,
we see
can't
different
thank you
people.
enough for all
Thank
your
you,
support.
Kim,
And,
Holly,
everybody.
David,
Have a great-
Mildred, Lynn.
have a great week.
Thank you, guys.
We will see you
It's an
here
honor.
next week, and Monday at 6 o'clock, The Verdict.
The verdict.
Thank you for listening to the Momentum Mindset Show. For your hosts, Jay and Janine, we'll see you here next week. Thank you for being real, authentic, and honest.
If you'd like to reach us, please contact us on our Facebook page, The Momentum Mindset Show, or on our office phone line, which is 954-559-6987.
We are stronger together.
And remember, keep going.